Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of the tube. Well, today, hope you're feeling grand and also very well. Hello there, everybody. Today's video of the tube was going to be solely a catch-up video on how the Quantum Industries guitar vault here that I got just before I went on tour. That's so cool to be able to say that. Anyway, before I get emotional straight off the bat, it was going to be a catch-up on how this handled the tour. Because I didn't baby it, you know, I wanted to give it a bit of a torture test, and yeah, things do get a torture test when they're getting thrown in and out of venues and thrown in and out of your van. Anyway, but I thought instead of just doing like a catch up on the guitar vault, which is one of the best things I've ever bought in my life, I thought I'd do a catch up on all the gear I used on the tour. So guitars, pedals, amp, you know, and also explain a couple of things of why I used what I did and whatnot. So let's start with guitars first. So the first gig of the tour, and if you watched the previous video of me talking about what I was taking, I was going to be using this guitar here, as well as my Chapman Pro X, which is in the vault behind me, which you probably can't see at this point in time because my frame is in front of it. Anyway, I was going to be using this, and I did use this guitar, the ST62, on the first gig of the tour at the Yardbirds. And it came very clear to me very early on, though, as much as I love single coils, and single coils are my ultimate pickup, they really are, and they always will be, the band needs this guitar. There's just something about this guitar and Red Giant that I had to go back to this one. So, and also, the dramatic stops weren't as dramatic with that guitar when it was going like in the gaps. It wasn't as dramatic as I would like it to be. And this guitar, because of the Seymour Duncans, it's just a lot easier to get around. Like literally, this guitar I can leave the governor on for the entire gig and just do everything from the volume control, and I don't have to really mess with anything else. I can just add what I want as I want it, and that made it so much more easy to sing. Because with the ST62, there was a lot of tap dancing. Yeah, I need this on, I need that on, then I need that off, and I need this on, and it was just a bit of a nightmare. Whereas with this thing, with the hot rails, it's so quiet. It just nailed it. And again, having so many kind of like different kind of lighting rigs in these venues, like the buzz and the hum would be mental. Whereas with this guitar, it's perfectly quiet and happy as Larry. So second gig in, I went back to using the 59, and I used this guitar for the entire tour. I never once pulled out the Chapman. To be honest with you, PeopleTube, I haven't even touched it. I haven't touched I just was compelled to use this guitar for every gig. I was just so comfortable with this guitar that I was like, I don't want to upset that balance. Same goes for amps as well, PeopleTube. So on my right side here, this was my main amp, Boss Katana 100 and my Marshall cab. And I didn't use the orange once. The orange literally never came out of the van. I just used the Katana every gig, and I just didn't feel, because I'm a creature of habit, it was one of those things of, this feels right, that feels right, it's sounding the way I want, this is sounding the way I want, my pedals are all the way I want them to be. You know, don't rock the boat. You know, just, if it's working, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the thing. So, that was the way it was. And like I said, I just used this one guitar. It's got a few more dints and dents now, it's a bit more grubby than it was. A lot of sweat and gunk has gone into this guitar now. When you get up close to it, it probably won't come across on camera, but it's it's got some stains. Let's put it that way. But it was just, this guitar is just so perfect. It really is for gigging. It's like the Pro X. The Pro X is a perfect gigging guitar. This is a perfect gigging guitar. I couldn't be without these two now. They are just that. If I broke a string on this and I can't use this, I go to a Pro X, I'm still happy as Larry. It still does what I want it to do. And obviously the other guitar in the vault I didn't even use because we didn't do the 2 songs I needed it for. So, because that's set up to be a baritone, so it's kind of like B standard tuning. But we never did those songs on the tour, so there was no point. But if the mood did take us, we could have done it. You know, we could have done If I Possession Over Judgment Day or You Say, I Say, if we felt like it. Because out of the 18 gigs we did on the tour, we changed the set list every night. We never had the same set list every night. It was always different. And I love that. That was great. That was great fun. I hated the idea of going on tour with one set list and going, that's what you're doing. It just kind of freaked me out. So we had a different set list every night. And if we decided, oh, you know, let's do You Say, I Say, or If I Possession Over Judgment Day, I could have done it easily. But it just never came up. And the main reason it didn't come up is we only had about 45 minutes, apart from one gig where we turned up and they said I only got half an hour, which was a stress out. And because of that, like, we didn't really have time to be changing guitars. And it was one of the another kind of reasons for me to be sticking with this guitar. Like, you know, there was gigs where I was like, you know, should I use the Chapman? But it was like a fleeting thought of like, no. This is the guitar, and you never really want to ignore such a strong feeling like that, especially when music's saying that's the guitar you use, that's the amp you use, these are the pedals you use, that's how you do it. You know, this is what we need from you. You just obey. You know, you just submit to that. And this guitar was just stunning. There's a weird black stain here that wasn't there, and I have no idea what it is, but it's there now. Anyway. So before I went on tour as well, PeopleTube, I strung this guitar up with 9s, so it's 9 to 42s, and that was another thing. My Chapman's got 9 to 42s on it, this has got 9 to 42s on it. Oh, 9s, I love 9s. They sound amazing on this guitar as well, especially for distortion. Like, let me show you what I mean. Something about 9s on this guitar that make it even better than 10s. I think it's just a slight drop off on the bass on the low strings. Works really nicely with the hot rails, and it's just glorious in every way, shape or form. And yeah, so that's the guitar I mainly use. Like I say, let's waffle about the amp for a bit. So I used the Boss Katana head behind me here, which people were a bit confused about, because like, that grill cloth, that's not standard, is it? No, I put that on. Anyway, I used that the entire time, and people with the tube, I never got the volume past 9 o'clock, ever. I literally didn't touch the volume for the entire tour. It's still where it was now, so it's at 9 o'clock, so basically on the dial, like across like that. 2 if you want to be on the number schemes. And I just didn't need to turn it up any louder than that. I don't like playing ridiculously loud on stage anyway. 2 got it above John Joe, which is insane because like John Joe's a loud drummer, but 2 got it above John Joe, and I ran it on the 100-watt mode. I went back at the Yardbirds, I went back to using my acoustic setting, because before the tour I changed the setting on the Katana to using the crunch mode. And in soundcheck at the Yardbirds, I was like, doesn't feel right. So I went back to using the acoustic channel, and that's what I've used the entire tour. I didn't use the crunch EQ once, and it's just Boss Katanas, man. I rest my case. You know, that thing has been thrown in and out of venues, thrown in and out of a van. It spent an entire month in a van. You know, all this gear spent an entire month in a van. It never came out apart from gigging. After the gig, it went straight back in, and it just stayed in there. You know, and it's just like every night I pulled it out, turned it on, and it just went, I sound the same as I did last night. No tweaking, no, oh, better cut a bit of bass, better maybe did this, I do. None of that. It just worked straight off the bat. And that blew my mind. Well, it didn't blow my mind at all. I kind of expected it, to be honest with you, PeopleTube. But it just felt amazing every night. This entire setup was just amazing. And like I say, the cool thing is the Katana is that amp I can plug straight into if my pedalboard failed. I know I can plug straight into this thing and do the whole gig from just the amp, plug it straight into the amp. So you need those kind of weights off your mind. Same way as if I broke a string on the 59, I could go to the Chapman Pro X and be happy. Same thing, if the Katana broke, I could use the orange pedal thing. Can't remember what it's called now. And or I could use my Boss IR pedal if all went to hell. So, and I had enough spare strings, plectrums, you name it. A spare power supplies as well. You need that stuff off your mind. You don't want to be worrying about what are you going to do if. You need to think about what ifs so you can prepare for them. And I was well and truly covered, which made me happy. But again, the Katana just performed flawlessly. This Marshall cab is now one of my favourite cabs of all time and space. Especially with these two G12 75Ts, G12T 75s in it. That cab just sounds amazing. Perfect size for the venues we're playing as well. I think some of the venues with a 412, it would have been a nightmare to get it in. Whereas with this 212, you still get that oomph of one of these things, but in a perfectly, compact, it's like Spam, basically. It's like corned beef. Perfectly compact parcel, package, I don't know. But it worked. And like I say, I didn't use the orange once. The orange stayed in the van as a backup just in case. But the Katana just delivered every night. And I messaged Matt when I got back when I got back, and I was like, I used the Katana for the entire tour, and it was the most amazing thing ever. And Matt at Boss was so happy to hear that, because the Katana's the perfect amp in my opinion. It just, you really cannot go wrong with it. I love all my amps to pieces, but when it comes down to gigging or like anything like that, the Katana reigns supreme. It really does. It's insane. And it's got some scars. It's got some battle wear, people on YouTube. It's been beaten apart. What I'll do in a minute is I'll bring you in on handheld cam and show you about what we got. So that's what I used amp wise. I never touched the orange. I used the Katana for the entire gig. Used the 59 for every gig. That cab, which again has got some scars and has been beaten up. It was perfect condition when I got it. It ain't now, and I love that. Pedalboard as well. I didn't have to change anything. The Shure wireless, I only recharged it once. It went through all the gigs. In all fairness, it would have done all the gigs if I had recharged it before we went on tour. It would have done every gig, but I didn't. So I had to charge it for the last 3. Just to kind of bump it back up, because it probably still would have lasted. It had like 2 bars left on the battery, but I wanted to be safe. The last thing you want is your wireless going out. Wireless as well was an absolute, this thing, absolute heaven. So what I'm going to do now, like I said, pedalboard. What I'm going to do now, people, I'm going to take you off the tripod and show you basically around and show you some of the battle wear, if you will, and also show you. Well, let's talk about the Quantum Industries guitar vault, because that thing is ridiculous. So let me put the guitar here. Let me move this chair out of the way. There's another scar for the cap. So come hither, people of the tube. So let's go over here first. Let me show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see the light, but you can see some of the random grossness that's appeared on the Katana. I did actually at some points slide the guitar up and down on the head here, but for some reason it never impacted. So usually this kind of thing happens. This is years and years of me sliding my guitar up and down on the side of his cab, and also it getting kind of like caught on stuff in the van. But I don't know what happened, but nothing showed up. It was like invincible. So that's where I had the volume for the entire tour. I didn't move the volume once. And another cool thing to note is my brother, who was using the Katana bass rig for the entire tour, wherever my volume was, his volume would match it. So he had his volume there as well. And we were always perfectly level. So that was amazing. So the cab, like I say, you can see it's not as scuffed up as I thought it would get, but you can see the dints and the dents in the top of it there, and some more of it down there. But again, this was my amp setup, and it just was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'll be using it again and again and again. So pedalboard hasn't changed. It is what it is. I think the only thing changed actually with YouTube is the fact I turned the attack down on the Mel 9, which was dubbed the voice of God on the tour. This was the voice of God pedal. I only turned the attack down, and that's about it, really. I think that's the only setting I tweaked on the entire tour. Everything else was just how it is, how you see it there. But let's talk about this now. So I wanted something like this for a long time, and when Quantum Industries approached me saying, "Oh, you know, would you like one of our new ones to test out and use live?" and I'm like, "Yes, I would." So this thing has been absolutely perfect. It's, again, I can't think of enough good words. It has been beaten up. Let me just wheel it out a bit. Let me show you some of the battle wear. So you can see all the scuffs and the marks and stuff, and it's filthy. And you can see. So this thing is, I didn't baby it, because I was like, well, if this thing's going to be like, you know, if this thing's going to be for touring musicians, you know, you shouldn't have to baby it. So you can see all the scuffs and scrapes and stuff like that. And again, it spent 30 days in my van, just sat there with the guitars in it, with stuff stacked on top of it as well. This was at the bottom of the pile. So this was always, this was the first thing to go back in the van after a gig, and it was always the last thing to come out. And literally, the guitars are all still in tune. Every time I went to the 59, it was in tune. They never moved. There was never any sign that things were pressing in or anything like that. This is amazing. Quantum Industries, thank you so much indeed. This was absolutely amazing. And yeah, it was just spot on. And every gig now, this will be there. And also, I just love them two together. Because where I could, I would always put my guitar vault next to my cab. It was always flipped, actually, so the guitar vault was over here. But it was just great. It really is. And it just took everything you could throw at it. Same as this, same as that, same as that. Everything was just... I hesitate to use the word perfect, people do, but I'm going to use it. But it was perfect. The way the guitar sounded, perfect. The way the 59 played and just responded, perfect. The guitar vault, perfect. Pedalboard, perfect. You know, everything made me very happy. It just made it easy. It really did. And knowing I had backups for everything made it just like so much weight off your mind. It was so good. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. So anyway, I think that's enough waffle for this video, PeopleTube. I just wanted to get like a bit of an update. Like I said, initially it was just going to be an update on the guitar vault, because I said I would do a video after I'd come off tour to show you how it weathered the storm, so to say, of doing tours. And yeah, it just was like, is that all you got? I'll wait. It was like that, and everything was. The Guitarna, the 59 pedalboard, everything was just like, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll wait until, you know, there's a challenge. It was just amazing. Anyway, let's say massive thanks to Boss. Massive thanks to Quantum Industries. You know, it was just ace. It really was. And massive thanks to Orange as well. Even though I didn't use the Orange amp at all, but like massive thanks for it being there, because like, you know, if something had happened to this, that is what I would have used. And I did use the Orange. We did a kind of a warm-up gig for the tour at the Flying Circus, and I did use the Orange there, and it sounded amazing. And it does sound amazing, and I love it to bits. But the Guitarna it really is where my heart lies. It really is. I adore these things to masses. I can't think of words. Anyway, they're just the perfect amp for me, and I love them to bits. Anyway, so I hope that made some kind of sense, people. I just, you know, I've got a very bad voice in my head saying this was a non-video, Dave, and you're an idiot. But I did say I would do an update video on the Quantum thing. I just thought I'd do an update video instead of just doing it on the Guitar Vault, show you everything, and talk about it a bit, and you know, what I used and why. Although I don't really know if I went into why as well as I should have done. I don't know anymore, people do. I'm freaking out now because I feel like I've wasted all your time. So that's not working very well today. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video. There's something about this video. Next week's video, we're going to dive into some brand new pedals, which is going to be fun. But I think how many is it to play with? There's quite a few to play with next week, people. But that we'll get to that next Friday. But yeah, Quantum Industries Guitar Vault, I cannot recommend enough. Boss Katana, cannot recommend enough. You know, anything on there, cannot recommend enough. Shaw Wireless, cannot recommend enough. Mini Mayer, cannot recommend enough. I love the fact that Mini Mayer, he's getting a bit bent out of shape now, Mini Mayer is, but I love the fact that Mini Mayer has been to every gig we've done, me and John Joe have done, since 2021. He was there on the first ever gig we did back after COVID, after all lockdowns, and he's been to every gig, and he did the entire tour sat right there on the top of the guitar vault. Absolutely love it. It's so good. There were so many people going, why have you got a little John Mayer? I'm like, I don't even know where to even begin. But anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching. Gig vlogs of the entire tour are coming out on the Red Giant YouTube channel. So if you want to see kind of like this stuff working in action and all the behind the scenes stuff of what I could get filmed, please go to the Red Giant YouTube channel and see the videos there. Other than that, thank you very much indeed. Like I say, the 59 is not going back into the vault right now. It's staying out for a while. Oh yeah, that was another thing. I broke the tremolo arm. I got really angry one night, and I broke the original tremolo arm, and this is a replacement basically. Because I basically just got carried away and was like dive bombing it. And again, there is a gig vlog where you can see it happening, and I just snapped it, and it just flung off. I still have the arm, and I managed to get the bit out, but I've basically got another tremolo in there now, which isn't actually as nice as the original one. But hey, you know, I was very angry at the time, and I was very stressed out and frustrated with something that had gone on that day that didn't need to happen, but happened, and it affected me, and I had to get it out one way, and I had to vent. But I broke the trem arm. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this vid. I hope it's been somewhat interesting. But like I say, I really cannot recommend stuff like the Katana and the Quantum Industries Guitar Vault enough if you're doing stuff like, you know, if you're gigging a lot, because that thing is amazing. Like I say, it's not just a guitar rack, it's a vault thing. It's a guitar stand. You know, all my leads fit in this thing. It made it so easy. And that's what you want. You know, it's on wheels. I just wheeled it in. It was easy to move around. It's not heavy. In the van, you can lay it down. You can stack stuff on top of it. I had, on top of this case, I had my brother's bass and John Joe's entire drum kit sat on top of that. And never once did it feel like it was going to implode or collapse or anything like that. It never did. That was just, again, I cannot say enough good things about the Boss Katanas. The words do not exist. That Master Cab was amazing. You know, I'm just a very happy bunny, people with you. But I'm going to let you go now because, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vid. I hope it's made some kind of sense, and I hope it's kind of like a good little update on how the gear I took on tour that weathered the storm, and it weathered the storm better than I did. It was just like I say, it was no challenge for it. Anyway, thank you much indeed for watching, and yeah, I'll see you again very soon. If you like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Keeps the channel going, because YouTube certainly ain't. Yeah, so if you can, link to my Patreon is in the links below. Other than that, thank you much indeed for watching. I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a good morning, afternoon, good evening, and goodbye now. And check it out outside. It's absolutely heaving it down with rain. See you later.